Night Vision. Following clues left by our ancestors, we unbury the past to reveal a knowledge of unfathomable value, putting us just a little closer to our own true birthrights. From the secret history of a possible bloodline of Jesus Christ, to secret history of America's founders, to the secret history of extraterrestrial interaction on our planet, here to bring light to the night. Your host for Night Vision Radio, Renee Barnett.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Night Vision. If this is your first time joining us, I'm Renee Barnett, your host, and we have a great show planned for tonight, albeit possibly a little intense. We have returning to Night Vision Master Astrologer Matt Gleason, and he's going to be looking into the current situation and the war in Europe, the Russian invasion into Ukraine. He's going to have a look at the astrological charts of Vladimir Putin and of Volodymyr Zelensky. And then also we're going to be looking at how this kind of affects the United States for those Americans that are listening and watching. And also I want to let you know that at the bottom of the first hour, we're going to have a little sort of surprise visit and introducing a new feature to Night Vision. So please stay tuned for that. And right now, I'd like to welcome Matt Gleason.
Hey, Renee.
Hey, Matt. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you. It's always exciting, a little unnerving sometimes, but nothing personal, you understand. It's what you are able to convey sometimes that's a little bit fierce. But so, we want it straight, though. We do want it straight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look to astrology or even a lot of the psychic sciences, tarot, and they say the soothsayer. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. But, we've gone through many historical times where it's not all right. And dating back to the ancient Greeks and even the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, they all had astrological tools to know, maybe you don't want to take the ship to that port. There might be a little war going on over there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we've all been glued to the news, to our devices or our television sets. And as we were talking just before we went to air, it gets to be a lot to deal with, especially, after we've all been through such a rugged last couple of years and now this. And, we're kind of unsure about where things are going. Is the United States going to become involved? Is Vladimir Putin going to go nuclear on us? Is he going to use chemical weapons, which he's sort of hinting at or is being hinted at now, and blame it on some sort of false flag thing because they're saying that, Ukraine is developing biological weapons and chemical weapons, which is, of course, said not to be true by the Ukrainians and by just about everybody else. But we'll see what happens. But now, what's the best way, do you think, to look at this situation? Do we look at the two heads of state that are most involved?
Yeah, it's funny because, or it's not funny. I mean, you have to look at this specifically. We certainly know this is Putin's war. One person on earth decided to do this, and that was Vladimir Putin. So looking at Putin's chart, this is his war. This is not, we don't have to look at Russia, Mother Russia, Soviet Union, anything other than the chart of Vladimir Putin. And while we could look at the chart of Joe Biden, I'm going to look at the chart of the USA. The USA, where we're sort of on, I don't want to say the defensive, but we're on the receiving end. Like we're not, I mean, Ukraine's getting it worse, but we're the ones that are reacting to the action of one man, Vladimir Putin.
Right.
And then we're going to look at Zelensky's chart to just say he is, frankly, the opposition at the moment.
He is. Such an interesting character he is. He was a comedic actor. He played the president on a television show, on a sitcom, yep. And then ran for election and won. Yeah. And, everybody was kind of thinking, oh boy, what's this guy going to do? And, is he going to be weak? And he's really become a huge leader, a wartime chief, and, quite brave and quite inspirational, not only to his own people, but it looks like to the entire world. He's sort of gathered up the entire world on his side, with a few, very few exceptions. So that's kind of interesting. It would be interesting to see. I don't know. You know me, I'm not an astrologer at all. But I don't know whether will we see in his chart, for instance, and even Vladimir Putin's chart, like earlier on in there, or are we looking at this one area of time? I mean, can we see the trajectories of their lives?
Yeah, what you can do is here's the thing about astrology is the planets are always moving. So when you look at someone's chart, you can look at where the planets are today interacting with that chart. But if you know where the planets were a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, you can look and come up with a certain poetry of what may have transpired. And then just as much as you can look ahead. I mean, that's what I do professionally. I give people astrology readings where I look at where the planets are now interacting with their chart. Somebody says, is it a good time to buy a house? And is it a good time to make an investment? Is it a good time to have kids? I mean, there's any question you have about life, there's an area in the chart and planets that have more impact than others that you can consult.
And will you also, I know you did their natal charts, right? So do we know, like, if there's anything particularly interesting? Like I know, you hear about trines and things like that showing up in people's charts. Oh, yeah. Will you be able to see those kinds of things in what we're going to see tonight?
Oh, yeah. And then we have where were the planets when the war began? Again,
yes,
Putin's action, and how is that going forward?
Right. And, a lot of world leaders, past and probably present, do sometimes consult astrology when they're making plans.
Oh, big time. JP Morgan over 100 years ago said millionaires consult economists, billionaires consult astrologers.
Wow.
And it's funny, even after the 2008 financial crisis, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, gone. Poof. JP Morgan is still there. So
yeah, that's amazing. Well, I know, some presidents have used astrology. So do we have any indication whether or not Vladimir Putin might have been consulting the stars in order to make this plan? Do we have any idea of his history in that area?
Oh, it's funny. Obviously, like the United States has a very heavy history of Freemasonry, which has a lot of astrological knowledge built into it. And I wouldn't be surprised if anybody at that level has studied some things. But, there are more, for example, in Christianity, which disavows astrology to varying degrees. I mean, of course, the first three people to visit the new Messiah were the three astrologers, the three wise men bringing gifts. Hey, this astrologer, sorry, I don't have anything for you, kid. But in Christianity, there's 12 apostles. In astrology, there's 12 zodiac signs. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. The fixed signs of the zodiac, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo, are assigned to the evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So, there's a lot of you could study just Catholicism and don't even realize that you are studying a lot of astrological tenets translated into a version that's palpable for that audience. So this stuff goes really deep and it goes far and wide. So I would say to your quite long answer to your question, sorry, but basically I think everybody at a high level who studied things has studied astrological tenets manifested in different philosophies without being told. Because if they say you're studying astrology, a lot of people are going to say, that's a bunch of bull. See, but you're studying the 12 apostles. Oh, okay, well,
right. I get it.
So I think, I think that's that.
Subterfuge. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask you who, but do you have people that? I'm sure you must have people in business that consult with you on deals and
the
court
new
cases. And
the new one is trying to find a birth chart. What was the moment Bitcoin was born? What was the moment cryptocurrencies were born? What was the moment Ether was born? So we can do their chart to see if they're going to go up or down. And it's nobody can give me the right. I mean, everybody's got an opinion, but opinions are not facts. I want to see a fact. So I do advise a lot of people about all facets of their life. I have sometimes, I had to raise my price and lower the number of readings I do a day recently, just because it's like, well, I can, I got a life too here. It can be, for business, when was the company born? I'll tell you, when did the stock go public? These are all important things.
Mm-hmm.
But most people that I talk to are certainly career driven. Most people that hire me have a career. There's a career element. But then what people do is they really like their reading, and then they buy readings for friends for Christmas or for their birthday. So that's when I meet people that are not career success, paying $100 and some dollars per hour for an astrologer. I'm meeting just somebody's friend from childhood who and so that, which is great, because then that's a range of people. Because if you only, if you only design websites for one industry, could you make the move to designing websites for another industry? It's the same technology. I don't want to just have that one clientele. And then, I'll do things like, this is bad. If I'm waiting for a prescription and the guy in line they say, oh, your name and what's your birth date? The guy will say the birth date, and I can get on my phone and look up where are the planets. So things so I'm constantly trying to I'm trying to work the brain and never be too stable or satisfied with what I know. I want to keep learning.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone, from the government or a politician that has consulted with you about an election or some other thing that they're working on? Or
they're usually a little more circumspect than that. But I've had a lot of people who are interested in, presidential elections are always crazy. But sometimes some candidates, we don't have their birth certificate, so it's hard to tell sometimes. Some are easier to predict than others. But I don't want to get into who specific. There's a couple.
No, of course not. Yeah,
there's a couple people out there that are like a big deal. But I live in LA, so it's like the likelihood that you're going to do an actor's chart or somebody who has influence and through the entertainment media is very high. So I have a lot of people on in that scheme of things. So
that's interesting. But the people that are interested in politics, is it generally been who's going to win the election, that type of thing? Or
put it this way. If you were an opponent running against somebody and you found out that they had an astrology reading recently, you would love to mock them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what I get is somebody who and they'll do this. I need you to do an astrology. I don't want to say for who. Okay, so just give me the birth date, give me all the birth information. So the date of birth, time of birth, and the location. And then I can go, oh, well, this person's really successful. Man, they're going through, man, they're really working hard right now. And then it comes to pass that I'm doing the chart of the candidate. And this is a person who works for the candidate, who, of course, is recording everything I'm saying. And to report back to the bottom, okay, I got you an astrology reading. Here's what you're going to need to do. So those things happen more. A politician is wise not to, wise not to come to straight to an astrologer. Like, oh, I'm going to record this, and then somebody's going to download it and sell it to CNN. So that's, it's a little more circumspect. When it comes to like actors and artists, they're just like, hey.
Oh, they don't care. Yeah, who cares? We don't care.
I'll tell you one thing that's happened is there's been legalized sports betting recently, and I've gotten actually people who've hired me to like help them bet on sports. And I did a Super Bowl prediction, which turned out to be really accurate, based on the charts, because a quarterback is really important in football.
Sure.
Like if you go to Vegas, if the quarterback gets injured, they take the game off. Like, well, nobody can bet on this until we figure out what's happening.
Wow.
And the same with baseball with the pitcher, like who's pitching, because it's just such a big part of the game. Like the big bat, like in basketball, you can always get the ball to the best shooter at the last minute to make the shot. But in baseball, your best hitter, he might not be up in the inning that you need him up. So there's a lot of factors that go in. And so I've been doing more sports charts recently. That's fun. But and I would love to get on there and calculate how many accurate predictions, but I did a really good Super Bowl prediction. And I was biased. I really wanted the Rams. So I was like, oh, please. So that was fun, but yeah, you could do it for anything really.
Yeah. Can you do it for lottery numbers?
I would think that the best way to predict a lottery win would be to track it in your own chart and try to buy lottery tickets around that time.
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, around that time. So yeah, there's a couple planets that I would say if they're in favorable things with you, like when I go to Vegas, I look where's Jupiter, and I wait for Jupiter to rise, so it's actually in the sky. And then if it's on this side, if it's rising in the east, the Vegas Strip goes north south. So you want to gamble if Jupiter is on the eastern rising side, you want to gamble on a strip in a casino on that side of the strip. And then later in the night, you want to go over to the west. But Jupiter's not always rising at night, so you have to, because you could see Jupiter if it's out there. You look up,
yeah.
But a lot of time it's up during the day. You don't see it. It's rising. It's too close to the sun. The sun's too bright. You don't see it. So yeah, you do have to look at the astrological stuff. And so, but I can't. I'll be freely admit, but I get scared. Oh, I want a little. I'm not that guy that just says, "Here's my life savings." Jupiter's on the side. So I'm happy to advise you, but
Yeah. You should make a deal with all your people that are betting and say, I'll tell you how to win, but you have to split it with me. Then you could get rich really quick.
But I don't want to have to compensate any losses because there's too many factors. There's just too many factors to. And again, for example, here's one for you. You're playing craps, okay?
Yeah.
In craps, you can actually bet against the shooter, okay? So two people who have good astrological aspects, what if one's betting and one's betting against the other one? Okay.
Right.
Here's another one. When Mercury was retrograde, which is a time of chaos in astrology, what would be the most upsetting thing would be like the underdog wins a sporting event, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what's more upsetting as far as Vegas is concerned is when what they do is they set the betting line, not for anything occult or astrological, but they set the betting line based on how many people are betting on it. So the favorite is always favored by a few points. So they have to win the game, and they have to win it by a few points in football. So when Mercury was retrograde, one Sunday, every favorite team won. Now, classic Mercury retrograde, you say, well, there's no upsets. But in Vegas, that's the worst case scenario. When every favorite team wins and covers that point spread, Vegas loses. They lose a lot. And that happened in a Mercury retrograde during football season. So
wow.
there's, but Mercury retrograde is very, very deviant. The minute you think you got it figured out, something else can happen just to
exactly.
stay chaotic. So I try not to, I know this stuff, but I can't I would never, if somebody says, okay, you're going to tell me I'm going to bet my life savings in Vegas, what do I do? You know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that surgery,
Exactly. Well, Mercury retrograde is very weird. I remember I used to feel like it really didn't affect me, or anything in my, communications and conveyances and whatever it's supposed to affect. But I've noticed the last few years, it's like, stuff is going wrong. I'm having computer problems and car problems and this and that. And then somebody else said, well, Mercury's in retrograde. And I thought, I thought I was immune, but apparently I'm not. I thought maybe because I was born, I believe Mercury was retrograde when I was born.
Yeah, it still gets you. I think one of the things is Mercury's retrograde in different signs. During different years. Mercury's retrograde 3 times a year, and for 3 weeks and 3 days. And it's retrograde if it's retrograde in Virgo, which is an Earth sign, that means that year it'll be retrograde in Taurus and Capricorn, which are also Earth signs. If it's retrograde in an air sign, like this year, it's been retrograde in an air sign, but then it backs up into the Earth sign before that. It starts off in air, goes back into Earth, and then goes forward back into air after the Mercury retrograde ends. It'll be in those 3 signs. So it'll be in Gemini, back up into Taurus. It'll be in Libra, back up into Virgo. It'll be so this is a very consistent pattern. And what it is it's really based on where we are in Earth. At Mercury, it goes around the sun, and then it's on the other side of the sun. It appears to be going backwards, but we're not stable. So as it's going backwards, we're moving too. So by the time we get over here, Earth is over here. Then Mercury appears. Oh, now you're. But Mercury, it doesn't really go backwards. It's just from our perception. But we're on Earth, and this is how we get affected by these things. So that said, Mercury will be retrograde in different parts of your chart, and sometimes any planetary activity in one part of the chart, one sign of the zodiac, can really be a kick in the pants. But for the person that you could have been born at a totally different time, totally, different set of circumstances. And it's the best thing, the absolute best thing for them. So it's just, and there's times in everybody's life where they're really on top. And there's times in your life where you just can't catch a break. And it's like this on every facet. We have heroes and cultural figures and sports figures because they reflect what goes on, and this reflects in what's going on in the bigger sphere. So you have an athlete, and they're great, and they're just one of the best, and then they're injured, or you thought they were going to win the big game, and they blew it, and can they handle the pressure? Can they bounce back? And these are all things that we talk about in astrology chart with, like when I'm doing just a regular guy's chart, or somebody who's involved in maybe they have a job as an executive, and but you could look at these narratives we have in fiction. They all reflect reality. Or think of a musician who has like the number 1 album from out of nowhere, and they're like, yeah, it was an overnight success after 10 years of hard work. Or,
exactly.
The Beatles were playing these dirty little bars in Hamburg, Germany, because they wanted to rock and roll. And he's the only guys who were doing rock and roll. And they're playing these dirty, when they're 19 and 20 years old, and they're playing these dirty bars in Hamburg, Germany. And then a couple of years later, they're on top of the world. And then they start fighting and they break up. I mean, and you can just follow the astrological patterns in what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? I mean, they were just this little band, from Liverpool, and then they just exploded. And to this day, at least to me, of course, I'm old, but if you just are hard pressed, really quick to name the biggest band in history, what's the most famous band? I think a lot of people would say the Beatles.
But I have nieces and nephews, we're over visiting, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to put on I'll play some Beatles for you. See if you like good music." So I put on Yellow Submarine, the song Yellow Submarine, because I thought, it's kind of a kid's song. And
yeah.
But you got to figure these kids are like, they're like 9, I think, 10 at the time. And it's like, they've already, they've heard hardcore punk their whole life. I mean, they've heard like random types of music that weren't around in the 60s. And my one nephew, he listened to Yellow Submarine. He goes, "Is this the same band that did Itsy Bitsy Spider?" The song from kindergarten?
Yeah.
He thought, the way his brain worked, and this is just a kid today, when he heard Yellow Submarine, the only thing it reminded him of was Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Bitsy Spider. He thought it really was a kid song.
In astrology, there are slow, in astronomy, but Pluto, Neptune, they're way out there. They take forever to go around. And those are generational planets. So some generations connect to things that you can go back in time and see other generations connected to. There were movements in Renaissance music that were the Renaissance equivalent of punk, and then you could look at the generational planets there, and then hundreds of years later, those planets are right back in there, and there's punk, so these things happen again and again. They say history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But when it comes to the planets, they are often in the same place they were at critical junctures in history.
Wow.
We're going to talk about a big one, the planet Pluto. The USA is going through its Pluto return. Pluto's in the same place it was the day the Declaration of Independence was signed. This is the first time since the 1770s this has been the case. And so the USA is going through a major astrological.
So how does that bode? Is that a good thing, or is that just a time to note that, something big, could be facilitated, or what does that mean?
Well, if you ask 100 astrologers, you're going to get 100 different opinions. So it's not astrology, it's the astrologers. I think a lot of times when when an astrologer starts to explain what's going to happen, you learn more about the psychology of it. It's like a lot of people have really great conspiracy theories, but they really reinforce certain beliefs inside that person and certain patterns. Like I have a friend from Russia. So this Russia thing blew up. And of course, this is a big deal. Russia's the center. But 5 years ago, when Russia wasn't necessarily as critical to the dialogue, Russia was still the center of everything, So people have like their theories really reinforced. If you meet somebody from the military, it's always going to be there. Oh, the military did this. The military, the military. So there's always, these overarching things. Same with astrologers. If they are, if they're afraid of Pluto, they're, the USA is really like this. And if they're more of a, happy-go-lucky person, no, it's going to be, so I say that as a caveat of what you're going to get. I try to be as objective as possible and just go by, more, I say classical astrology, but here's a funny thing. I've got books in my library talking about the planets, and they were written before Pluto was discovered. It's like, so, you get these books written in the 1940s, and they're like, Pluto is a new planet. Let's figure out we're still trying to figure out what's going on here. So, so there's a lot of you have to constantly keep learning. With that said, a lot of people have made paranoid predictions. A lot of people don't like America, and they're like, you're getting your Pluto return, America. Now it's coming to you. So, I just like to be more objective and really look at the chart for the chart's sake and go from there. Right.
So shall we? Who do you want to start with? Shall we start with the one man?
Well, yeah, if you want to let's show Putin's chart. I can tell you all about the deeper personality aspects of him based on his birth chart. This is Vladimir Putin. I can tell you that he has a bunch of planets overseas. If you look over on the number 1 and the 12 and the 11, there's a lot of planets over there. The red circle by the number 11 is the sun. Below that black cross with the hump is Saturn. Saturn and Neptune, the next planet down, were conjunct in 1952 when he was born. If you're born in 1952, you have Saturn and Neptune conjunct. Beneath which that gives you a very intense, to varying degrees, an assertion of your authority. You assert your authority, and maybe you're a little delusional about it, but you assert your authority. Now, and Neptune get together every 35 some years. Below that's Mercury. Mercury and Neptune are together. Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury is also very close to Saturn. When Mercury and Neptune are together, that's a very charming, poetic, seductive person. I'm sure it's no surprise Vladimir Putin's seductive, but the Saturn in there makes him very stern. He's very focused. When he's seducing, he's on a mission. And then you even have the sun in there. The sun is at 13. If you go to the right sidebar, it says the sun is at 13 degrees Libra and Mercury's at 23 Libra. So they're about 10 degrees apart. And that is about the degrees necessary for Mercury to really be its own planet. When it gets too close to the sun, it's a little subdued. So this is a man who knows how to communicate for a purpose and not just for his ego. He is extremely seductive. Now, if you look at those red lines going from the Saturn, Sun, Neptune, and Mercury, if that red diagonal line going up, it all goes to one planet. And that planet is the planet Uranus. And the red lines indicate a 90-degree angle in the zodiac. We call that a square. It's a harsh, challenging aspect. And this gives us a real insight into Vladimir Putin's personality. When you have Uranus in the ninth house, that is a person who has an immense ability to learn. And also the eccentricities of this person are involved in traveling and going around the world. Now we know that Putin hasn't exactly done a lot of traveling. I mean, he was in the KGB, young, from Russia, Mother Russia, and by the way, one reason we have his birth time is when Vladimir Putin, even though he was born under communism, he was baptized in the then forbidden Russian Orthodox Church. That gave him such a leg up politically early on, though, because he was able to talk about Mother Russia in a way that everybody who hated communism from the old guard loved. But if you look at, so you have this person, we know that he hasn't traveled the world, but he has a very eccentric world viewpoint. The planet Uranus is very eccentric, and wherever it is in your chart, it's eccentric. And so the tension from Uranus to those four planets manifests as a person whose worldview is just subsumed in his ego. And all of his actions are about his worldview. This is the way the world works. I will tell you how the world works. I will instruct you. So this is a very, very, very egomaniac, forceful egomaniac. Now let's look at some other things. If you look at right at near the top between the 10 and the 9, where it says MC is the medio collateral, the heaven of the zodiac. That is the top. And at the apex of that chart is the P stands for Pluto. That is the zodiac sign for the planet Pluto.
Oh.
Now, Pluto is the power planet. Look at Pluto on the midheaven is absolutely, in astrology, is inescapably authoritarian. Is absolutely powerful. If you look at that red line going diagonal away towards the number 7, you see that little red squiggle there is the planet.
Yeah.
Jupiter is the lucky planet. When Jupiter is tense with Pluto, there's a lot of luck involved with assertions of power. And this tells me that Vladimir Putin and a number of people have observed this about him. Is he playing chess or is he playing poker? When it is said somebody's playing chess, it means that they have the next couple moves ready. So no matter what you do, they have a move to back it up. But a poker player, on the other hand, isn't playing chess. They're just making a move or playing a bluff or playing a strength like it's a weakness. But there's a few poker strategies. But this tells me the power and the luck tension tells me that Vladimir Putin is absolutely a poker player. He is not thinking things out. He has a worldview that he is pushing into the world, and he's playing poker. Maybe it's a bluff. Maybe he has a bigger hand than he's showing. How do we know? If you look down by the number 2, there's the red masculine sign that is the symbol for the planet Mars. The blue diagonal going up towards the P there is very, very macho, very strong, very masculine, very assertive, very aggressive. That makes his aggression. His aggression is rewarded by the planets. When he makes an aggressive move, he's used to getting his way by bullying his way, by being aggressive, by being assertive. He's a Scorpio rising. Vladimir Putin's a Libra. His moon is in Gemini. That makes him very manipulative. That's a very manipulative combo. He's a Scorpio rising, which makes him very firm, very stubborn. He has the planet Venus, his ruling planet, because Venus rules the sun in Libra. Venus rules Libra. And so Venus in Scorpio in his what's called the first house makes him very charming. This is a very charming man when he needs to be. And he loves to remind people that he is the richest man in the world. And it doesn't matter how he got it. He has it now. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So I prefer, I prefer when I don't know anything about the person. And then I can do the chart. People are going, all I'm doing is telling you stuff you already know about Vladimir Putin. Maybe you didn't realize he was as charismatic as he is, or as seductive a communicator as some of the things I said here. But I have to say, I do this for a living. And so I would do this on somebody's chart. I prefer it when they like if a new client, I never Google them, because like one time I Googled a guy and he had a lot of stuff in a lot of news stories about him because he worked in a particular industry. So when I gave him the reading, I was concentrating on that industry. And then I found out he had quit that industry, and now he was teaching that industry in school. So now he was a teacher. He was no longer involved in that industry. So I was giving advice for a job he no longer had. So that's when I stopped looking anybody up. I don't look anybody up. Vladimir Putin, we already know a lot about him.
We already know a lot about him, but the charismatic part and the seductive part, I don't get it, but I do know a lot of people that do. I mean, like I know women that think he's very sexy and very charismatic. Well, and then, I don't see it.
Imagine Russian women. I mean, imagine if basically Vladimir Putin, it's the equivalent of like he's like a super patriotic guy if you're Russian, and so, he wants the strength and dominance of the Soviet Union, but the moral authority of the old Russia with the Russian Orthodox Church. So, imagine if I don't know that there's an American. I mean, if you took like Johnny Cash and mixed him with maybe, John F. Kennedy, maybe we're getting somewhere on the peak that would inspire Americans like Vladimir Putin inspires Russians.
Wow.
So, but why don't you want to show the chart I sent of Putin during the war? Yeah. Okay. Great.
The right one.
Let's see. Is this the right one? Yes, this is. This is. If you look in the inner wheel, there's an inner wheel and an outer wheel. The planets are where Putin was born is the inner wheel. So there you can see that Sun, Saturn, Neptune, Mercury. That's called a stellium when more than two planets are in the same space. There's 4 planets there within 10 degrees of each other, and they are all in Libra. But the outer ring is where the planets are. I don't want to say now because it's from February 24th when Vladimir Putin,
the invasion started. Yeah,
when he ordered the invasion. So what we can do here is look at some of where the planets are and say, is this good for him or bad for him? So the first thing I look for with war, the planet of war is Mars. So if you look down by the number 3, you'll see that red masculine sign is Mars, and it's in the same spot as Venus. That's a very powerful astrological combo. It's going on right now. So right now it's actually, despite $7 a gallon gas here in California, and despite a lot of the problems in the world, this is actually a somewhat great time to be getting things done in your personal life, if you are so inclined. So when Venus and Mars get together, that frankly is a time where one would say, I want to start a war. One would say, oh, well, you're gonna, it's gonna go. So now the problem is those aren't the only 2 things happening. Venus and Mars there together are opposing, if you look at that straight line up, where Uranus was in Vladimir Putin's natal chart, wherever Uranus is. When there's an opposition to the planet Uranus, That's a lot of tension. And then if you look at that red line going diagonally to the left, it goes up to Saturn, Neptune, Mercury. And so that's not good either. So this is very delusional, very spontaneous and aggressive. If he had an astrologer advise him, they would have said, this is probably not the best. There's probably a better time for you personally. Now, if you look by the number 7, there is the planet Uranus where it is now. In Vladimir Putin's entire life, Uranus has gone around from that where it is by the number 9 there. It's gone to the 10, to the 11, to the 12, to the 1, to the 2. It was in when the Soviet Union fell, it was down by between the 2 and the 3 in his chart. And now it's risen all the way up to that 7. But that's one-on-one relationships and people stabbing you in the back. And so he had no idea, absolutely no idea that there was just going to be a unity, a mass unity against him. And look at that opposition from where that planet Uranus is by the number 7. If you look, there's the red line that it creates that goes all the way across, goes to the Venus, where Venus was when Vladimir Putin was born. And it's the planet of looking good, the planet of like moral authority. Nope, you have no moral authority. He is absolutely getting slapped around by these one-on-one relationships. These other countries, the leaders of these countries are absolutely against him. He did not consult a good astrologer if he consulted one at all. Or he got too involved with that. The Venus and Mars is very rare.
Right.
Venus was retrograde earlier this year. And what happened is Mars was moving at its normal speed and it passed Venus. And so now Venus and Mars are in the same space. Venus is no longer retrograde, but it's still at a very slow pace. Now, the real Venus is going at the normal pace that it always goes in, but this is from the perception of us here on Earth, and therefore that's how it affects us here on Earth. And it appears to be moving slow. So Mars, the planet of war, is actually ahead of Venus. That's a very, very, very rare thing in astrology. So I could see somebody asking when's a good time to go to war, but he really thought this was going to be a 2-week affair. Now he's stuck in there, and this guy's stubborn guy.
Yeah.
And he's entrenched in there now. And so what he's doing is he's doing the serious strategy. And this serious strategy is just, he's going to level town by town.
Yeah.
And
he is, yeah.
Plodding misery. And how much of it can the Ukraine take and how much of it can the West take? Because the West in this chart is represented by the 7th house. The 7th house, see, look, in his natal chart, there's Jupiter, the lucky planet, is in his 7th house. So he's lucky with one-on-one relationships. For most of the time, he put the West at ease. Okay, we can work with, George W. Bush looked him straight in the eye and said, I looked him in the eye and I can do business with him. So he has luck with these one-on-one. But see, right now, there's this transit of the planet Uranus. It's like one-on-one relationship are his
Mm.
weakness. And he's only got India and China because he can give them natural resources. There's no love lost there. Mao did not trust the Soviet Union. Mao met with Richard Nixon specifically to weaken the Soviet Union.
Wow.
So anyway, right now he has years. The planet Uranus is very slow. It's going to be for another 3 or 4 years in the house of one-on-one relationships. He can't rely on any one-on-one relationships. He's in the process of losing the oligarchs. The military is not going to back him. His military is not going to back him when he needs them most in this. So I tell you now, what Vladimir Putin has set into course is just, it is going to collapse on him. The Mars opposition Uranus, the Mars squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune, these are disastrous aspects. There's some good aspects in the chart. I don't even need to go into them because, like the Saturn is in harmony with Saturn and Neptune. That's very disciplined. So he's going to stick to it. He's disciplined about this. He's going to go and he's sticking to his guns. But these are some disastrous aspects. And he has no idea what's coming for him as far as sanctions and what else could be coming. He has delusions about the homeland. Those delusions are going to be wiped clean by next year. The planet Neptune has been in the fourth house of delusions, the fourth house of homeland. The planet Neptune is the planet of delusions. Neptune is going to leave his homeland very soon, next year. Soon being for Neptune. Soon for Neptune is next year. Soon for the moon is in a couple hours.
Right.
But because the moon's so close to us. But when Neptune moves out of that fourth house, man, he's going to have to face some reality about his homeland that he's been in complete denial of for many years.
Wow. I've been seeing this particular former Russian official on the news a lot lately, and he's against Putin, and but he said that what will happen is that people from the inside will either escort him to the grave or to the prison.
To the Hague or to the Hague or to the grave?
No, to the grave. Yeah, to the grave or the Hague. Yeah, that's right.
That's. I'll tell you. Later this year, Saturn, which is down right at the bottom of his chart. If you look by the number 3 to the right, that black cross with a squiggle below it, that's Saturn. In a couple of months, Saturn's going to be in the number 4. It's going to actually retrograde later this year, out back to where it is about now, and then it's going to go in there for good. He's going to get a taste of what's coming, and he's not going to like that taste at all.
Oh, wow.
So but he's going to dig in, I guarantee you. Right now, though, he has very little support, and he may have like this whole popularity with the masses wearing their little letter Z thing, but that thing's going to be for Zelensky soon enough.
That's what's so funny is when I first saw that, I thought those were Ukraine tanks and people, because I thought, oh, look, Zelensky. And then I realized those were Russians. And I'm not, do you know why they're using that Z symbol?
It has there's some patriotic word that starts with a Z in Russian.
Oh, I see.
So it's like their little Zorro. Now's not a good time if you're a movie producer to be financing a remake of Zorro anytime soon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's exactly what I thought of when I saw it first with Zorro.
Unless I mean, I can't imagine after Russia's victory over Germany in the Second World War that it has any swastika implications. But there's a whole mythology. There's an Aryan mythology that Russians have too that Putin perpetuates. So the Z definitely has its basis in that whole the theory that there's a certain superiority and a natural greatness to the Russian people that is not shared by other races. It's a typical 20th century race ideology, maybe even 19th century race ideology, made manifest in the 21st century.
Now, do you see things in people's charts that give an indication of how long they're going to live? Just to be.
Oh yeah. There's I'll tell you right now. There's going to be an eclipses are the big scary one, and I'll tell you the big eclipse coming up for Putin later this year. I believe it's April 30th. There's going to be a solar eclipse, a mild one. It's not going to be a complete solar eclipse, but it'll be. Let me look it up. Gosh, Renee, I actually had to look something up. God darn it, I'm supposed to know all this by the back of my head.
I thought you knew everything.
So it's a solar eclipse. It's at 10 degrees of 10 degrees of Taurus, which, if you look, is very near to where Jupiter is and where the planet Uranus is now. But Jupiter is in the natal chart of Vladimir Putin. So I can tell you that that's not good for, again, one-on-one relationships. So by the end of April, by early May, maybe China is going to back out of it. Or maybe India is going to back out. Something's going to back out. Man, it could be a one-on-one person. It could be an oligarch that he trusts, and they are able to really do something that he never imagined. But look, nobody imagined Germany announcing that 2% of their GDP is now going to be devoted to defense. Nobody imagined that Switzerland would join a boycott. They're completely neutral, but they see the harm in a war in Europe, and they're not playing World War II anymore. So there's going to be an eclipse, and that when you ask about basically the eclipse is the death transit. So wherever the eclipse is in your chart and how that interacts is a foretelling, so to speak, of death. So I look out for it in everybody's chart, and I never tell them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't want to know.
No, I've done over 1,000 astrology readings, and I've had one person, and it was a friend of a friend who they bought the reading for, and the guy was really skeptical, and the whole reading, he was kind of heckling me, but I was giving him a reading, and he was going, I would say things. He'd go, well, you could have guessed that. You could have guessed that. You could have guessed. I go, well, I keep guessing pretty right here. So he kind of piped down, and then finally goes, okay, when am I going to die? I said, you really want to know? Yeah, when am I going to die? It hadn't happened yet, and he's still alive. So, but he kind of just, after you tell somebody when they're going to die, it's a conversation stopper.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't want to know. I don't think I'd want to know.
Nobody wants to know. I don't want to know.
Heck no. Have you looked at your own?
Well, I remember when I first got into astrology, I was looking up people I know. So I looked family members, looking up their charts and reading about it. And really, I used to go to the library every day, read books and books and books. What's funny is I like to say I read 400 books on astrology, but 200 of them were plagiarized from other books. So there was a lot of that going on back then. So when I noticed something happening in 2012 with not only my chart, but with my parents' chart, I was like, oh yeah, if my family makes it through 2012, that'll be pretty amazing. And my father was hospitalized, major surgery. My mom was exhausted. She had to go they're in their 90s now. They both lived. But, and then I ended up having a emergency heart surgery. And so it was like,
oh my God.
So I remember always going, oh, well, we survived 2012. So and then I was like, yeah, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I can't, I don't want to know, but if you want me to look, I'll look for you, not for me.
Wow. Well, I'm going to let you take a little break, Matt, if you would like, and we're going to introduce another guest. And then after the commercial break, we're going to bring you back, and we're going to get into Zelensky's chart. I'm trying to bring our other guest on, but I don't see her camera.
Cam isn't working.
Cam is not. Oh, there she is. There she is. All right, Matt, we will see you in just a few minutes. Hi, Mahima. Whoa.
Hi, Renee. Hi, Renee.
How are you?
Good,
and
good.
Many of you will remember Mahima Anand. She's been on the show before. And I call Mahima a soul soother. And because every time I have a conversation with Mahima, I always feel so much better. And I really wanted to share that with everyone. So we developed a little feature that we're going to be providing here on Night Vision, and you might see it around other places as well. But this sort of sprang out of some work that Mahima has done on a series that she's got coming up called Shifting Tides. Actually, she's done a season. And so what Shifting Tides is, to me, is, everyone has those moments in life where something happens and you see things in a different way, or it changes your life and changes the trajectory of your life.
That's right.
And so Mahima has gone around and interviewed some really interesting people to find out what their defining moment was that caused their tides to shift. So that's Shifting Tides. And that inspired me to think, oh, how can I add a little taste of that in my show? And so I thought, wouldn't it be nice just to have a little break, just to hear some soothing words, just to hear some positive affirmations and those types of things. So I asked Mahima if she'd be willing to do that. And then she absolutely came up with something wonderful. And I really want to thank you, Mahima.
Oh, you're most welcome, Renee. Most welcome.
And
go on.
Oh, we're going to play the first one at the end of this conversation, just before the commercial break. And I think you'll like it. And I'd love to hear some feedback, things you'd like to hear about from Mahima, what you think. Should it be longer? Should it be shorter? I don't think it should be shorter because they're already short enough. But we're calling it a Mahima moment.
Just a few lines as to how I feel about a Mahima moment is, you know what, Renee, we are all a product of our experiences.
Yes.
And we have good, bad, ugly, all sorts of experiences in our life. But what do we do with those experiences? What do we make of ourselves after that experience, after a debacle or a catastrophe or a calamity, or even good experiences? How do we change our perceptions, our perspectives, our thought and belief systems? How do we change, and how do we come out of a bad experience and yet be stronger and yet be a different person after that? What does it add to our life? So what I would like to offer in a Mahima moment is just the little nuggets of inspiration that came my way, at various points of time in my life. And what did I do with those inspiring moments? What did I do with the signs that were available to me at that point in time when I was at the deepest ebb of my life? So I just would like to share so that it adds a little positive touch in people's lives, and it gives them hope. It gives them hope that, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, I could do better than this. Yes, they're one step ahead and I'm out of a problem. So that's what I would wish to add, So wow. there is, and this is only coming out of experiential knowledge, nothing out of books or whatever I have experienced in my very small, short time. That's what I'd love to offer.
Thank you so much for stopping by to help introduce this. And let's have a Mahima moment. How about it?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Shall we?
Yeah, sure. The famous Sufi mystic Rumi once said, "If you don't go over the hill, you will never know what's in the valley." What he meant was it's important to come out of your comfort zone to really discover yourself. I stepped out of my comfortable city life into a place where I had never been before, which I wanted to explore through new eyes. And that got me into a place where I actually wanted to be all my life. Yes, there will be discomfort. Yes, there will be hardships. Yes, there will be times when you would want to go back into your security blanket. But stick out. Stick out, because ultimately where you will reach is where your soul will start singing. So step out of your comfort zone and climb that hill.
Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button. So just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Welcome back to Night Vision. Whoops, Mahima, I want to thank you again. I didn't mean to knock you off there. I want to thank you again for coming by and helping us to introduce Mahima Moments. And I did want to remind everyone, or at least let everyone know that, you know, we're going to be playing those each week. So you'll see different ones, and we'll probably do a little rotating. And so in case you missed one, we'll make sure that you see them. Just a little food for the soul. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Renee. Absolutely my
Thank you,
pleasure being
Mahima.
here on the show. Thank you. Thank you, Renee.
All right, Mahima. See you
Have
soon.
a good show. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right, we're going to bring Matt back up. And Matt, I'm trying to add you. There you go.
Hey.
And someone in the chat room was asking what your Instagram address was. And there you see it right there. Also, here it is bigger. If you want to see it bigger. Now that I spelled it correctly. Matt caught my typo, so that was really good. But anyway, there you go. It's up there small right in front of him. It's Astrology Blitz, at Astrology Blitz on Instagram. Also, somebody in the chat room, I think it was American Road Warrior maybe, wondered whether you had any idea whether Vladimir Putin wants to take over the world. I think if he could, he would.
If he could, he would. Oh, that's a chart. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is a chart about asserting power 24/7, 365.
Why is it so important to some people to have all that power? I just don't get it.
My mom used to say it takes all kinds, but nowadays people don't like to hear that. But yeah, there's the planets keep moving, so wherever they are when you're born, you get whacked by it, let me tell you. Yeah, absolutely. So shall we go to our next subject, or did you have anything more you wanted to say? No, let's look at the man of the hour, Volodymyr's well, it's another type of Vlad, but it's a Volodymyr Zelensky. Let's look at his chart. There you go. Wow. So he was born in 1978.
What a baby.
Wednesday, tell me about it. Wednesday, January 25th, 1978. If you look near the number 9 at the top of the chart, there is the sun and Venus together. Venus, the planet of love, art, beauty. With the sun, the ego. His ego is very invested in his appearances. And boy, has he made the most memorable appearance of the century so far. Yeah, absolutely. The opposition. But that kind of goes along with his acting too, doesn't it? Oh, absolutely. No, that is a thespian right there. That is a thespian. Yeah. The art and absolutely. No, and especially in the number 9, it's very adventurous, very much about the journey in public. And then the opposition there's a red line, kind of faint, but still there. It's going all the way opposite the planet Mars. So there's tension there with his masculine nature and his artistic nature. And I think they found the artistic nature got him in a position to be the president of the country. And now they all thought he was going to flee and be governing from abroad. But no, what a brave. You can look at very few people and say, this is just unimpeachably courage. And this guy for our day and age, wow. So some other things going on.
In a way, doesn't he, and really the Ukrainian people at how they've risen to this moment, it does remind me of the what was it called? The Great Generation, the generation
absolutely
from World Wars. And it's like, I've thought about it and I've said, gosh, would we have that in us here in the United States to stand up and be that brave?
When we look at the USA's chart, I'm going to talk about that. So yeah.
Good. And I'm hoping the answer is yes. I because I know we once had that as a nation.
Exactly.
And I would love to see that come back. Yeah. Okay. So
let's look at by the number 5 there on the wheel is that the P stands for Pluto, and that's the planet of power. And there's a red line to Mercury, the planet of communication. So this is a guy that speaks truth to power. This is a guy that is not so enamored with his own words that he isn't interested in somebody else's opinion. Interestingly enough, Putin, we said he has a moon in Gemini. Zelensky's a Gemini rising. So they're both completely about communicating. But as an Aquarius, Zelensky's more about communicating to a large audience, a thespian, a politician, and now, for lack of a better word, and I don't mean this in the pejorative, a propagandist. I mean, he has to say Ukraine's side of the story. He cannot be a neutral observer. Whereas Putin is a Libra, which is all about one-on-one relationships. Putin finds your weak spot and exploits it, whether that's because you're greedy and then you partner with him, or he finds something and then takes it from you. But Zelensky needs the approval of a large number of people. And so, but this Gemini thing is always about how can you manipulate? How can you control the room? Now, Putin has that Jupiter in the 7th house, opposite the 7th house is the 1st house. Look by the number 1. There's Jupiter in Zelensky's 1st house. That's a very giving, magnanimous person. This is a guy, when you get near him, he is just, man, you feel like this guy's going to take care of me. So, and this guy's very lucky with how he appears and moves through life. So this is, this guy, I mean, again, we all make choices. We all got free will. He could have chosen to be evil. He could have chosen to be a pleasure seeker and to just bail out, come to America and try to make movies here instead of being part of a war, running for office, things like that. So there's a lot going on here. But this guy, he doesn't let power. When power speaks to him, he's like, I will show you where you're wrong.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot going on here. Obviously, knowing where he is now, there's probably a little bias in my discussion of Putin and discussion of Zelensky. Like I said, I prefer cold read. But that said, this is a chart of a person who really loves an audience, a person who has a vision for the world, as opposed to a kooky narrative. So a lot going on. Now, you want to look at the next one. We can look at where the planets are now impacting his chart.
Okay.
This is for when the war broke out. And I want you to go all the way to that black line at the top where it says MC, which is the midheaven of the chart between the 9 and the 10.
Right.
And there's the planet Saturn. So these are where the planets are now as they're moving through the zodiac now and how they're impacting this man's birth chart. But I'll tell you what, that Saturn right there that's the best place for Saturn. So let me explain. When you do something heroic and memorable, when Saturn is at that part of your chart, you in a way become immortal in your crowd. Now, Zelensky happened to have the audience of the whole world looking at him when he's made this stand. But in 1,000 years, they're going to be talking about Zelensky not leaving, not have taken the easy way out. Now, in your own life, when Saturn is on the midheaven, which happens once every 29, 30 years, that is a time where you are at peak visibility. And if you kind of blow it off and just use it for your own pleasure, you have a good time, but you don't maximize it. But if you assert yourself and take a stand and be really who you are when Saturn is conjunct your midheaven, among your group of people, you will always be remembered for that moment.
Wow.
So word to the wise. So there's a lot going on in this chart there's a lot of tension in this chart. This guy's under some scary, obviously we know that, but there's some scary stuff going on in his chart. I don't know the problem with anytime you're dealing with prediction of the future is the two filters you have to get rid of are hope and worry. And so this is a guy that I'm really worried about. I'm worried about the world situation. We all are.
Sure.
And I already have my narrative in my head of what I hope happens. So those are two filters that are blinding me to really interpreting this chart because there is a lot of tension in this chart. He's certainly going through a lot. But I just think Pluto, the planet of transformation, is going to move into his ninth house, or it's in his ninth house now, but it's going to move into the zodiac sign Aquarius. It's moving into his ninth house, and then it's going to move into the zodiac sign Aquarius. He is an Aquarius. That bodes very well for Zelensky. The only problem is that's a couple of years off because Pluto's so damn slow. So let's hope he lives to see what he has created, because he is certainly, man, when I saw that Saturn, I was like, oh, that will sum up. Maybe that's the story of the war. It's certainly the story of 2022. Is this guy, they would have shuttled him off to run a government in absentia in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And he was like, no.
Yeah. He said when the United States offered to get him out of there, he said, I don't need a ride. I need weapons.
Yes, exactly.
Or I need ammunition or something like that.
Yeah. And if you look at the top, the very top of the chart, there's the blue trident at the top of his chart is that's the planet Neptune. And wherever Neptune is are dreams and goals and delusions, hopes, visions of glory, and a fog of not knowing how to get there. And that is at the top of his chart now. So right now, he is seen right now as the most hopeful figure in all of humanity. Wow. And so when Neptune's high in your chart, people will just see you as just an ideal beyond anything you could ever live up to. But hey, ride that.
Wow.
Boat. I will say that.
Well, I mean, it could have changed everything had he left.
Yes. Psychologically, and remember the sanctions, because he's staying there. That's why a lot of those sanctions are going in. Initially the first day of the war, when they said we're going to do sanctions, Italy said, well, we're happy to do the sanctions, but can you omit luxury goods? We still want to be able to export luxury goods to Russia. And now it's like, ain't nothing going in or out. So, and all of that is, this guy is just so inspired. And not that the Ukrainian people haven't, and not that some of the other stories haven't, but just, this is the apex. This is the leader. Like, it's Putin's war. It's Zelensky's defense. On April 12th, if you see that red character next to the trident at the top of the chart, Neptune is the trident at the chart. That red squiggly character is Jupiter, and it is moving kind of fast for Jupiter. On April 12th, Jupiter and Neptune will be conjunct at the very top of Zelensky's chart. So I'm looking for mid-April for some very hopeful moments that will be etched into history's facade, etched into stone for history to record. in April. So let's. But again, the two enemies of any forecasting are hope and worry. So I say that caveat. So, but why don't we talk about the good old USA?
Good old USA.
Well, I want to. This is. I want to show the birth chart first, just so I can explain what we're looking at, if that's possible, Renee.
What did I do?
You went right to the USA war chart the moment the war broke out, instead of the.
Oh, you know what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think I.
Oh, you didn't copy it?
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm so
There
sorry.
we go. Okay, so this is a chart for 1776, July 4th, 1776.
Yay!
When John Hancock signed the Declaration of Independence, the United States of America was born. We're a zodiac Cancer, July 4th. If you're born, early July, you're zodiac Cancer. The U.S. has a moon in Aquarius. That gives us our humanitarian side. So, this is this chart. And people have followed this chart. There's some crazy things going on right now in the chart. The planet Pluto, by the way, the United States is a Sagittarius rising. If you look by the number 1 on the eastern horizon, when the Declaration of Independence was signed in the afternoon, the Sagittarius was rising.
Was that planned?
There's differing reports, but when there's that many Masons in a room, nothing is not planned. That's
true. That's true.
If John Hancock didn't look out the window to see where the sun was before he signed that thing, I'd be surprised. Regardless, though, when 9/11 hit the planet Pluto, you could see that P there. It had gone all the way around. It takes 248 years to go around, roughly. And Pluto was conjunct the ascendant, the exact point of the eastern horizon, in the birth chart of the United States of America on 9/11. So that's a pretty pretty heavy duty thing. So now let's look at where the planets were the day the war started on February 24th.
Okay.
If you notice, the planet P is on the planet P. Yes, the United States is going through a Pluto return. So for years, if not decades, we've all debated, us astrologers, what's going to happen when the Pluto return happens. And what you end up with is, when astrologers tell you what's going to happen, they tell you more about themselves and their worldview than they do make a prediction. So I try to just stick to classical astrology. Look, you want a conjunction more than you want a square in opposition. You don't want those red lines. So Pluto on Pluto is a good thing. My most optimistic prediction, based on this chart, is that the new unity is coming. The sign of unity is Aquarius. We can all agree we've been in a decade or more of disunity in the international community, disunity as a nation. Pluto is the great transformer. When it moves into Aquarius a little bit in 2023, but it'll retrograde out, and then for good, for about a 20-year cycle in Aquarius in 2024, I could see the United States coming into a new period of unity. And again, this is my hope. Crying in the wind, maybe. But Pluto conjunct Pluto, the Pluto return, has certainly seen the United States in an extremely strong position, although under the threat of nuclear war with Russia for the first time since 1989. This transformation of our power is taking place in the number 2 there is the second house, which is money. Having Pluto in the second house is the reason that the dollar is the reserve currency. So in addition to the war in Ukraine going on, at the very same time, Joe Biden laid out last week, President Biden laid out how the U.S. intends to deal with cryptocurrency. And so this is a major step forward, because in it, he ordered federal agencies to consider, first and foremost, dollar supremacy. So again, you have the second house is the house of money. In the United States birth chart, Pluto, the planet of transformation, strength, and power, is in the birth chart in the second house of money. We have the strongest currency in the world. Pluto the planet of transformation, is on Pluto in the second house. Biden is uniting the world with the U.S. leading the way and asserting in an official executive policy paper, that we must consider, that federal agencies must consider dollar supremacy in dealing with any cryptocurrencies.
I wish I understood more about the whole cryptocurrency thing. I'm really behind the curve
it's a
on
rival
that one.
currency. It's a right. It's you can't. You can, a government can stop currency, but a cryptocurrency is like it's like an anarchist dollar. You just have to look at it that way. And but a lot of people are gambling on it as like they would play the stock market or a roulette wheel in Vegas. So that said, you don't have to understand much about it other than to know that, if you buy gold, gold is at a record high. It's over $2,000 an ounce. If you buy gold, they don't ship you like a brick of gold. Right. They ship you a piece of paper. Right? They ship you an email now that says, yeah, you own 3 ounces of gold. You gave us $6,000. You own, and you can never get that physical gold. If you're a jeweler and you want the gold, you have to pay what it is per ounce plus a major premium on top of it. So the gold, in all intents and purposes, investing in gold. Oh, look, I invested in gold. You may as well invest in cryptocurrency relative to the tangibility of it.
Right. Right.
But that said, the cryptocurrency, there's a lot more scammers out there. So
I was going to say that's the dark side, though, isn't it?
Oh, big time. And
what's the upside of cryptocurrency?
The upside
in terms of being good for the world.
Actually, the number one thing that, as I can see, is the speed of a transaction. Like right now, cryptocurrency is being sent to Ukraine as donations, and they're able to exchange those so fast to get military equipment, to basically buy military equipment with the cryptocurrency from governments that accept cryptocurrency to sell you arms. So that's the value of it, is the speed with which you can do it, a major financial transaction. There's some others, but then people will argue against it. I mean, you want a cacophony, bring up cryptocurrency, but Biden did, and he's focusing on it and focusing on, there's going to be regulations, which are anathema to the early days of cryptocurrency. That said, the Pluto return has given the United States something neither Russia nor China wants: unity. The best thing about the war, Russia's war, Vladimir Putin's war, on Ukraine is how easy it is to be on the right side, how easy it is to pick and speak from moral authority to say what he's doing is bad. When he's leveling hospitals, crushing children with falling buildings, it's pretty easy to unite around that. And the United States, in their chart, is using that as a strength right now and taking full advantage of it to strengthen their position as a leader of a unified West. This is a momentous period in history. Since 9/11, there's been a lot of chaos, a lot of independence. There's also been a lot. I mean, we can blame capitalism or the socialist urges for a lot of this. You have socialist countries like Russia and China have sown disinformation and discontent in the United States. But capitalism has said, oh, do business with whoever you do business with. It doesn't matter if they kill people. If they chop up journalists in the case of Saudi Arabia, or all the evil things that, not that the United States is an angel either, but I'm here and I'm stuck here. So here we go. And I will not get thrown in jail if I attend a protest tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Or if you say the word war.
Just don't have tits on TV.
I try not to do that anywhere.
You even put a towel over the mirror in the bathroom, right?
I sure do. Do.
So this, I actually, when I look at this chart, I see some tension. There's certainly going to be a long period of economic holding out, like just we're at a time where the economy is, we're going to be paying a lot for gas. And
Yeah.
Saturn is a planet of limitations. It's in the second house of money. So, but it ain't going to be there forever. It's a little fat. It's a lot faster than Pluto. Woohoo!
Yeah,
So,
but the dollar's really strong now. I mean, I was noticing, I couldn't believe it. It's like $1.08 to the euro now.
Wow. Wow. That's
yeah. I mean, I think when I was there
before the war, it was at $1.15.
like 3 or 4 months ago, it was like maybe $1.50 to the euro.
Wow.
And
So,
it's also, up higher. The pound is also not. I mean, the pound. I mean, the dollar's a lot stronger to the pound now as well.
Yeah. So I could see this war, as tense as some of this is. There are a lot of things that really, if I was Vladimir Putin's astrologer, which I would never be, but I would have told him, you don't want to, if you want to piss off the U.S., this is not a good time to do this. There are too many good things happening at this moment in the U.S.'s chart that when this moment is birthed, boom.
Wow. Well, does that, I took it down, but do you see anything in there of us getting pulled into
put it back
war?
up. I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, what we have here, this is the birth chart of the war as it interacts with the United States chart. And so we look at one-on-one relationships. The U.S. has a lot of planets in its natal chart, July 4, 1776, a lot of planets in the seventh house of partnerships. You look by the number 7, you see a bunch of planets. So that's why we're always partnering up with people. The U.S. is like the slut of the United Nations, man. We get in bed with everybody. But if you look, there's nothing in the seventh house right now to make us the partner. But there's a lot of blue lines. So there's a lot of planets interacting and harmoniously with those planets in the seventh house, except that Neptune down at the bottom by the number 3, that trident, there's a red line to Mars. So, but that's our war instinct. And we are, that's foggy. That's saying, nah. We're not getting involved. Nah. And we don't look good. We do not look good doing this. But we ain't getting involved. But there is so much harmony with the one-on-one relationships there. That's convincing Germany to do this for us. That's convincing, another country to do that for them. So I could see a lot of things here that benefit people who work to push the United States view. Now, in previous times, that's led to some horrible atrocities in some Western countries and some other countries, and started the terrible conflict in Vietnam, or it was started by the French. We just we'll take it from here. We can show what we're gonna do. So you get in wrong with the wrong partner, and a lot of atrocities can happen. But we are very willing. There is a lot of willingness here to give to the needy, so to speak, the one-on-one relationship that needs it most. And so, with that said, we're all going to be footing the bill for this war. As far as if you wanted some Russian vodka, caviar, or cheap oil, I don't see that happening in the near term.
Right. But it's so difficult, I think, certainly for me, and I can't imagine, I'm the only one, to sit and watch, this country just being decimated. I'm talking about Ukraine, and to see, little children being killed and injured, and pregnant women and old ladies and just everyone. I mean, it's so difficult.
Well, here's
not
the problem.
To say, let's go in there and just blast them out.
And Russia, they've got like the 12th biggest economy in the world. They're not like that great, but they have all those nukes. So they always have a gun to everybody's head. And so it's the neighborhood.
They know that we have the same exact amount of nukes. that they do.
Oh,
At
and
least
in the words of one Russian analyst I read, there's like the Russians do. Nothing works in Russia. The spare parts are hard to come by, especially under the sanctions. It's like
right now,
does
forget about
Russia
it.
does
Airbus,
Russia
forget it.
do they think that their missiles are really going to work? So do they have
Mm.
spare parts on all their missiles? So we're about to see.
So maybe this is part of Putin's bluff. His poker
There's a
game.
lot of bluff to Vladimir Putin. He is a poker player, a big time poker player.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it just makes us look bad that we're just sitting and watching all this happen. When, we've got almost the whole world on one side. Why can't we
don't
stop
we,
this?
The second largest economy and India, which is over 1 billion people, are big customers of Russia. And so,
Right.
Maybe they'll flip after an atrocity here or there. I mean, maybe Putin's going to get, if Putin uses a tactical nuclear weapon in this, I think China might just say, yeah, we don't want to live in a world. We can't live in a world that does things like that. So, so these things could go fast. This thing's going to take a while. I think this is going to be, this is going to last a while, but I think the way the dominoes are going to fall, it is not going to be negative for the United States,
And what about for Ukraine? In the end,
I don't have Ukraine's chart. I can go by Zelensky's chart and just say that the eyes of the world, because the eyes of the world are on the Ukraine, I believe that everything that happens to them is only going to speed up them getting what they want. So it's a visibility issue.
Yeah.
The worst thing that could happen to Ukraine would be something happens that takes them off the front page. As long as they're on the front page, they're fighting a war. I mean, it's not like it's, this ain't a walk in a park, this ain't an ice cream social,
Yeah.
But they're fighting a war. They're on a defensive status, a defensive footing. And so it's tough. It's going to be tough, but they have the upper hand in the propaganda war 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Russia's
Yeah,
disinformation will like they're trying to do this. There was a biochemical lab. They're trying to do this now, and it's going to get slapped down. Even no matter what the accuracy is, right now, all eyes in the world are on Ukraine, and they can do no wrong.
And I mean, surely Putin must be aware of that everybody is watching. It's not like he can just sneak in there. But, Jackie in the chat room is asking, will Ukraine get their country back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the only question now is
great question, Jackie.
The only question is, will it be in 2024 or 2025? And then the other question is, will there be terms where Russia keeps Crimea, for example,
right,
which it took over illegally in 2014, and the world
2014.
did very little about it. Yeah. So,
what about Donbass in the
that's
so-called?
Those come to the terms like, will the Donbass region become part of Russia? So maybe will Russia get a little territory to save face? But let me tell you, if Vladimir Putin is arrested or murdered, and we, like I said, I'll go on record as saying I hope one of the two happens. But once Putin's out of the thing, it's Putin's war. So a new Russian leader who may take over, we don't know who that'll be. They could be crazier than Putin. Russia could have a civil war. All sorts of things could happen. So that said, but as far as Ukraine fighting a defensive war, I think that time is not on in the short term, Russia can do a lot of damage, but in the long term, Ukraine will be a symbolic peak of not only Putin's narcissism, egomania, and warped worldview of Russia's sphere of influence, But this is going to be like a boomerang for the West, being united, a very united front, which it hasn't happened for many, many, many years. And you know what? We have a militarized Germany for the first time since 1945, just in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yes.
So what will a militarized Germany look like in the world? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So
that was quite amazing. They allocated big bucks to their military spending. So
that's it. The only problem is if Putin just decides to end it all. So that
yeah.
right
See, that in a way, I think is my biggest fear, because if he sees no way to save face, then he might just say heck with it, and blow himself and everybody else to kingdom come. But then again, by the same token, I really don't want him to get anything to help him save face. You know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure, Ukrainian people have a whole different take on it, but Crimea, we kind of got used to that. That's, been, going on almost 20 years now, 18 years ago. And, or no, actually it wasn't.
It was 8 years
but it has
ago.
been, 8 years ago. It's been, a few years and everything, but I don't think they should be allowed to take even 1 inch more.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they are fighting a defensive war right now for territory, and Ukraine is, and Russia is on offense, trying to take territory. What they do after that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, if he comes out with something, then it's like, what's to stop the next nutcase maniac from, attacking another country, another independent
hopefully a unified West.
Right.
Putin believed his own propaganda that the West was not unified, and the West just said, nah, when it comes to this, we're very unified.
I think we can probably thank him for a lot of that unification.
Look, if you're under 77 years old, you don't know a world with a militarized Germany. Only people in their 80s. And
yes, that's true.
Militarized Germany. We now have a militarized Germany. And man, I can't. That's like the newest concept. I never thought I would say those words.
Yeah.
So this is an absolute new world. The U.S. had its Pluto return, and the early results are that this has served for the U.S. to be maybe stronger than ever.
Yeah. Oh, here's Jackie again with another great question. And I thought of this earlier and I didn't mention it. So thank you, Jackie. What about the rumors of Putin maybe suffering from Alzheimer's? Is this in the chart?
You know what? Can you put up Putin's chart right now? Just his chart.
I've heard I've heard that he has cancer. And
a Russian friend of mine, told me Parkinson's. Yeah. So what you have here is his fundamental health in his chart. Like if I'm looking at his chart when he's middle aged, even I'm saying, hey man, you're really, really, really healthy. This is a really healthy guy. But now let's show the chart for when the war started, because that's basically where the planets are now. Okay, so what you have here is the planet Neptune is slowly making a tense angle to Mars. So if you look at the blue trident in between the number 4 and 5, there's a blue trident. That's the planet Neptune, where it is roughly now. This is from February, but it moves so slow. A year later, it's barely moved. But look at that red line that is coming from Neptune. It goes across to the left and it touches Mars, the natal Mars position of Vladimir Putin, where Mars was in October 1952 when he was born. So Mars is the ruler of Vladimir Putin's sixth house of health. So when Neptune squares your Mars, first off, it's a very slow thing. So this is a very long thing. In a young person, that could be something really mild. But in an older person, it's not really the best. I don't recommend you have. I mean, it's a timing thing. It may happen when you're young. It may happen when you're old. Neptune is so slow, so far out there. It may never happen in your lifetime. Okay, but it is happening. It's the first time there has been a square to Vladimir Putin's Mars from Neptune, and this is a new thing. Chronic illness is a new thing to Vladimir Putin. He's never had that before, and so this is slow, but it's certain. So this is going to be. I think by 2025, whatever illness he has will be even 2023, 2024. You're going to really start seeing this illness manifest, whatever it is. Parkinson's, you're going to see him shake. He's going to stop appearing. I don't know.
That's another thing that scares me, because if he feels like, someone like him, such a narcissist and such a macho man, that's the worst kind of person to have an illness, certainly a debilitating illness, for him to personally deal with it.
Absolutely. The only hope is, if he goes crazy, is that there will be some sense among Russian military leadership to say, you know what, let's not, and say we did. So.
Yeah. Now, I have heard, again, from, former Russian people, and also, other, like our former ambassador to Russia, and people like that he does not have the capability to press a button and fire a nuclear missile. That it's a sequence of events that has to occur.
A major nuclear missile attack to intercontinental ballistic missiles, yes. But tactical nuclear weapons, he could pretty much get them to the front lines, and then a general under fire is going to be like, well, if it's me dying or me dropping this little grenade over there, I'm tossing me a firecracker. So that's a big fear. Thermonuclear war, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yeah, I see that as less of a threat.
Right. But maybe, some kind of chemical warfare or biological warfare, something like that is something.
Yeah, look, this is a guy, if he's pushed into a corner, all bets are off. But look, he had a very successful strategy in Syria and in Chechnya, and neither of these wars were covered too much by the West, despite the level of human suffering. That you always have to say that. But, the component.
Yes.
Ukraine is the West in a lot of ways, and Caucasian. But in addition to that, it's Germany's front door. Berlin is closer to Lviv, Ukraine, than it is to Paris, France. So Germany's like waking up. If you remember if 20 years from now you remember this, you're going to be, remember that guy said Germany's waking up. That's the one thing, the big change here. In addition to the unity of the West. So what does a narcissist do when they're dying? They a lot of times, do they take those? They can't see a world where they don't exist, so the others can't exist either. Right. So one would hope that the military core is that. But back to what I was saying, he had a successful strategy in Syria and Chechnya, and that was just utter obliteration. And that is exactly what he's doing now. And he's thinking it could take a year, 2 years. He doesn't care. So fasten your seatbelts.
Now, are you saying that you think it could be going on for that long?
Oh, yeah. Easily. Yeah, wow. And don't forget, China today had a major lockdown for COVID. So, we're not out of the woods.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
So,
I think we better get President Xi's astrological chart and see what's going on.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've seen that one before. His is harder to get the birth time. Putin's, because he was baptized, they got the birth time. But
right.
But G, how do you say his name?
Xi. I thought it was Xi, but I don't know.
XI, 11, Roman numeral 11. I don't know how accurate the birth time would be on those. But regardless, I mean, there's still stuff you can say, you can analyze astrologically.
If you just have the date.
Yes.
And I guess, the place would also be pretty
important.
Well,
the location is important because, if you're born in, for example, Australia, you and I are doing this. It's 9:45 on Friday. Well, it's already Saturday in New York. It's already Saturday afternoon in New Zealand. So there's different. The dates could really screw you up. From the international line and things. Like I'll watch some Ukraine news tonight at 10, and it'll be the early morning in the Ukraine. So.
Exactly. Oh, and speaking of times, I heard that California may be voting on eliminating daylight savings time.
Hey, that'd be great.
I would love that. I think everybody should do it. It's too crazy and confusing. And I heard about it on NPR, and they had a sleep specialist on talking about how much better it would be for people, not to have to make that switch.
Well, Renee, they're not going to vote fast enough for you to avoid springing ahead on at 2 a.m. on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, that's right. It's coming. It's coming right up. Well, thank you, Bobby Burgess. We're getting a nice compliment from the chat room.
I will say this about daylight savings times. There are some sophisticated astrology programs that know when daylight savings times happen and a lot of things. And back in the day, you'd go to the library and there'd be books, and they would just document daylight savings times in different states, because it used to be a county could decide on daylight savings time. So in Indiana would be like a checkerboard.
Oh my God.
You could drive to the next county and it would be an hour difference during daylight savings for half the year. So calculating an astrology chart with not knowing that, and every once in a while there will be a warning on the I use one, it's called Astrodienst. It's a website, astro.com. It's state of the art. It's Swiss. It's a Swiss calculation. Wow. And by the way, all the planetary motions were figured out and calculated to perfection by Isaac Newton. So this is not just hocus pocus. This is using absolute scientific certainty. You look at an astrology chart and you want to launch a rocket to the moon. NASA's using the same chart, a geocentric chart. Here we're on Earth and we got to go there. Don't aim where it is in the chart. Aim where it's gonna be in a couple days. So you have to understand, that a lot of this is based in I don't even want to say science. It's based in reality. These planets are really there. So these times are ephemeral. So when whenever the time is in, Hoboken County, Indiana, in 1970, there's documentation. And every once in a while, this Astrodienst will have a thing saying, okay, are you sure about the time? Because there's some crazy times around this. There's some crazy time keeping around here. They'll even warn you. And then if you do a chart from way back, it'll say, we use what's called the Gregorian calendar. All of us do. But back then, the place that you're calculating from used what was called the Julian calendar.
Julian calendar, yeah.
So are you sure that the date is right? Because we're doing Gregorian, but they were on Julian. You can click, and they have a feature where you can click on and put it on the Julian calendar. And, like England didn't get with the Gregorian calendar until the 1700s, And, crazy little things like that you learn, but you got to, if you're doing somebody's chart, you have to do it. This really benefits from the exact right time. Let's get it right.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I thought, and I probably losing my mind here, but it
It
seems
happens to the
like,
best. Renee, it happens.
yeah, what can I say? But it seems like I remember, like when I was a kid, we weren't using daylight savings time, but yet when I looked it up to see when we started using daylight savings time, it was 1908.
Yeah.
So
Well,
were there just certain states or?
no, we're from a generation where the parents didn't fill you in on every detail. You just woke up. When mom said wake up, you woke up.
That's right. It's like,
They turned the clock back. You weren't turning the dang clock back. It wasn't like now where every 7-year-old's got an iPhone and saying, hey, they changed the time.
It changes it for you. You don't even have to do that anymore. That's great.
So yeah, that's more what we call a cultural phenomena than a scientific phenomena, or not that I can speak for scientists. But look, all of this is a cultural phenomena. If I did Putin's chart, yeah, for a dictator that's pretty heavy. But Putin's chart could be, that could be the guy who if you have a condo. Have you ever read the homeowners association? One guy, vote for me. I want to get on there and solve some things. And you're like, great. And all of a sudden he's getting the cars towed. You're like, hey, this says we can tow the car. And you're like, you know what? I don't want my car towed. And why would I vote for you? And then you're fighting with the crazy dictator, and you're fighting with Putin. So if you're look on your homeowners association right now and see, was the guy that nobody likes, that all of a sudden he's controlling the homeowners association, was he born October 7th, 1952? He's Putin. So.
Oh my gosh. But oh golly, well, I just I am seeing some heartening things. It's interesting, the two charts for the individuals that we looked at, Putin and Zelensky, because it's like a painting a portrait of someone.
That's all in a straw. Look, and that's why I prefer to do these completely blind. I just look at somebody's chart, and I just start saying what it people. Oh my God! How did you know that? How did you know that? How did you know that? Because that's where the planets work.
Maybe sometime what I'll do is I'll come up with some, birth information for someone that might be interesting to our audience, but not tell you who it is. Then we can do it, and then afterwards I'll tell you who it is, and then you can, carry on and say, well, oh, that makes sense because blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah. It's funny every once in a while. Like I have a friend, he's passed away now, but he was born the same day and year as Hugh Hefner. Oh, and, wow. And this guy loved girl, man. This guy had more girlfriends than anybody except Hugh Hefner. So it was just like, wow, and that the two most important men of the 19th century, born in the 19th century. We could argue it, but certainly if I told you that Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin I would say they're the two most important men of the 19th century. One kept together the most important consequential country of the 19th and 20th centuries, and the other changed science, changed reality, and how the whole species understands themselves. Do you know they're born on the same day, same year? So,
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Oh, how interesting. Well, now I don't think we share the same year, but I do share a birthday with the Marquis de Sade.
Hey, well,
not the same year.
Well, astrology can definitely predict how we get our entertainment.
I think that's a little off.
Renee, I'm sure you have something else that you could brag about besides that. So.
I don't know. That's the only one I can remember right now. Have you ever looked up your birthday to see who famous was born on your birthday?
Oh, yeah.
That's the only one that sticks out to me right now.
I have the same birthday as Brigitte Bardot, so obviously, but not the same year. But obviously, I'm so beautiful, right? So,
wow. Yeah, that's interesting. And you mentioned Isaac Newton. I shared some DNA with Isaac Newton.
Huh?
You know how you did the DNA tests and everything. Well, on this particular platform where I did mine a number of years ago, then it showed you if there were any famous people that they had done DNA on that that you were linked to, and it has to be a pretty close connection, or they don't, or it doesn't really show up. They don't name it, but I know one was Isaac Newton and one was Marie Antoinette.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
The famous one we got, but I haven't done it, but both my parents have, and we got through both lines. Otzi the Iceman, the guy that they discovered on the Alps.
And oh my gosh!
Apparently they have a whole museum to him in Switzerland in the Italian side of Switzerland on the other side of the Alps. And they even, they had his DNA, everything was fresh in him, it had been perfectly frozen. And
yes,
they could tell what he had for lunch and what he had for dinner the night before. And of course they have a recreation of what he looked like. And he's like this maniacal mountain man. I'm like, But I do have a lot of relatives that, not me, but who love mountain climbing, who love hiking. Everybody loves hiking though, so who knows? Yeah.
What did they date him to?
Oh, when Otzi the Iceman was walking around, the pyramids hadn't been built.
Right. I was thinking it must have been thousands of years ago.
Yeah, thousands of years. Yeah.
That's mind-boggling to think, what that means is you're related to someone that far back. And I guess probably we all are, but rarely would we ever find out about it.
They entered that DNA. They just happen to have perfectly preserved DNA. They put it in the database and boom, here we are.
Wow.
So
isn't that amazing? Yeah, you find out a lot of things. Sometimes things that you don't want to know. We had a couple of skeletons fell out of our closet in our family when we started doing our DNA. We discovered some relatives we didn't know we had, even though they were neighbors.
Was Dad visiting? Was Grandpa visiting somebody that he shouldn't have been?
It was Grandpa.
Grandpa was spending the night.
Grandpa and Uncle.
Grandpa and Uncle were not at the poker game like they were at the poker game, but it wasn't with cards. Woo! Did I say that on live TV?
I found out that I have an uncle via my grandfather that I never knew I had, that's only about 4 years older than me, but he's my mother's younger brother. But he didn't know it. We didn't know it. And he contacted my cousin and said, I'm trying to figure this out. And my cousin had already figured it out, but he just kind of let the guy figure it out himself. And I think it really troubled him, for a while, because it meant that he didn't have the father that he thought he had. So I was kind of excited because I thought, oh, wow, I've got another uncle. That means he owes me a lot of birthday presents, a lot of Christmas presents, but I haven't seen any of them yet.
So
now, Jackie's asking, what are the best DNA tests?
We gotta go. You gotta go. It says you have to wrap your show.
Oh, I have to wrap. Oh my gosh, we sure do. I can't believe it. I looked a few minutes ago and we had 20 minutes left.
It went by so
fast. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Matt, so much. Matt Gleason.
That was fun.
Instagram @Astrology Blitz. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Love you guys. Take care.